I just learned this a couple of years ago that I will take a framework over an idea anytime. Like, tell me how to do it, because the framework is tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do the thing, the idea. Hi, everyone. My name is Mariam Treystman from the Home Health Consultant, and today we're going to be talking about framework consulting. But first, if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. So, what is framework consulting? This is actually something that I myself learned a couple of years ago, and I think it became intuitive to me. The minute I understood this concept, it became instantly intuitive, but it's kind of like my soul and my psyche was searching for this already. We built the compliance program something like 7 or 8 years ago as a way to help maintain compliance processes. But in our own business, we also struggled with some of these concepts. And we kept reading business books to try to gain knowledge or insight to really understand what it is we're missing, right? Because at some point in a business, you get to like a point in your business where further growth feels unmanageable because you're at capacity for what you can manage in the business. And when I personally got to that point in my business journey, I actually made a rule to stop reading business books because it just kind of felt like I was taking in all this information and wisdom and knowledge and building a business intuition with, and there's importance to that as well. But we weren't getting anywhere. Like, we weren't implementing anything. Like, okay, I would read like a book a week, congratulations to me. But I never gave myself time to implement any of the things that were in the business book. Then, a couple of years ago, we stumbled upon a framework for our business and realized that this is really what we were looking for. And so, what is a framework? A framework is a set of kind of processes and procedures that you implement in your company that keep the processes moving. It's not like, oh, the idea 4-hour work week, or whatever, like time atomic habits, or these maybe these are great business books and they put you in the right mind frame and they really they communicate a point across, but the points are hard to implement in a way that will change the structure of your business and the way you do things outside of just generally mind frame, or maybe like loosening up your day a little bit, or like having like a little bit of an effect on your day. And so, for example, in the compliance idea, the framework is we meet with you quarterly, we set the objectives, you have a to-do list, like you do this, then you do this, then you do this, depending on what the problem is. Annually, we check for COPs. There's like a process to what we are doing, and we are implementing that process within your organization so that ultimately you can do these things. Of course, some companies choose to stay with us forever. That's fantastic, and we love it. Probably for accountability purposes, probably for time saving purposes. But the idea of the framework is that you install processes within your organization that then become mindless to do. It still takes effort to do them, and you still have to be mindful about maintaining it. But they're already kind of like instilled in your process. Like, for example, a good example of this is like checking eligibility when you get a patient. Yeah, you still have to check the eligibility, but it becomes a mindless part of your job. Like, I get a patient, I check their eligibility, make sure that they are just like basically eligible, like, or do we cover the insurance? Are they in a different agency at the time? Like, basics of eligibility checking. You no longer have to think about it. Yeah, if you stop doing it, it stops happening, right? But like, you're not going to stop doing it. It just becomes a natural step one of your process. And so in our own business, in the home health consultant, we also use frameworks. We use a marketing framework, we use a business organizational framework, and things like that. And so we also use consultants that implement these frameworks. And the idea is hopefully at some point we are independent with it, or we just use them for accountability. Like, we have a consultant for our organizational structure. We've been with them for a few years. They have now implemented the structure. The structure has relieved me from having to micromanage every individual person's role. And because of that, it's allowed us to grow as a company without taking more of my juice. And so we realized at some point that it's very important to use frameworks, because it's different than you go to a conference, someone teaches you some idea. Now, how do you take this back to your agency? Like, how do you do the things? And we're not saying going to conferences is useless. Like, it's so important. You catch up on knowledge, you catch up on industry trends, and maybe you do take an idea that you can implement into your company, whatever. But what the framework does is it gives you processes that are just installed and downloaded into everyone's brain, and everything just kind of flows within that structure. It gives you a structure. And to me, a structure is so much more valuable than an idea, because the idea needs the execution, and the framework is the execution for the idea. So yes, go to the conferences, read the books, gain the knowledge, learn, do your thing. But the framework will give you the ability to execute these ideas out. And so, for example, in our both our marketing and our organizational frameworks, we are also on a 90-day structure. We are also setting agendas for the next 90 days. Every person in our company has a project that they work on every 90 days. We all present it to each other every 90 days. We have a leadership team meeting. So this is kind of like the equivalent of your QAPI or GB meeting kind of thing that happens on a quarterly basis. We have a quarterly leadership meeting where we set the agenda and whatever needs improvement for the following quarter. So pretty much the framework that we are installing and maintaining in your company to help you execute your objectives is the same framework we use in our company. And we also use a consultant for organizational frameworks versus marketing frameworks versus whatever. And so, I've been in business for 20 something years. It's been a million years. And I just learned this a couple of years ago, that I will take a framework over an idea anytime. Like, tell me how to do it, because the framework is tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do the thing, the idea. And so a lot of books that give you, books, consultants, concepts, whatever, that give you the framework, if you read it in a book, half the book goes to selling you on the idea. You'll see this in our thing. We sell you on why it's important to do it right. What is survey prep versus survey readiness? Da da da. All of these are. It's like you need to buy into the idea to do the framework. But the framework is the gold. You can be bought in on the idea all day long. It's important to have a healthy lifestyle for your health. It's important. We all know this, right? But the framework is the execution of it. It's that accountability buddy that makes sure you work out once a week. It's that, whatever. It's like the MyFitnessPal that you might be entering your what you ate, your macros in to maintain your healthy lifestyle. Like whatever the tools and the systems you use to maintain the results is what the framework is. And that's why whenever you're looking for a consultant or just some way to carry out an idea, try to find the framework and not the idea around it, because the idea still needs executing. And the framework, if you execute, will accomplish the goal. I'm Mariam Treystman, and those are my thoughts on frameworks versus just like kind of idea consulting. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Home Health Consultant, and if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe.